Hey guys, my name's Kian Hushman, and today we're going to be checking out the brand new plugin from newer DSP, the Fortin Cali suite. Let's have a look. And this is the plugin. So this is the Fortin Cali suite from newer DSP. If you're familiar with the other Fortin plugins, you notice that it's pretty much the exact same layout. You get the grind pedal, the Hex Drive, and the Zool pedal before the amp, as well as the actual amp itself, and then the cab section. Although with this plugin, this amp has 3 different type of channels. So you got the clean channel and 2 overdrive channels. Overdrive 1 is very like modern metal, very Fortin sounding, if that's an adjective. And then overdrive 2 is more of like a plexi type of sound, much more crunchier and really good for low gain tones. And this is what it sounds like in the box. Very, very brutal, very typical of a Fortin type of amp, sounding absolutely amazing. As you can see here for this tone, I've got the Hex Drive engaged. The grind pedal is really good when you're doing like really low tune stuff like drop F and lower. I mean, if I was doing that, I'd definitely flick the grind on because it cuts it way more low end out of your tone. I'll just do a quick comparison between both. So this is the Hex Drive. It's much more traditional, kind of like an 808. Saturates your tone really, really nicely. And then the grind pedal kind of cuts a little bit more low end out and pushes to the mids substantially. At the moment, I'm only in drop A flat only, but I like having the Hex Drive on for this type of stuff. And of course, Zool is a noise gate. As you can see, it's stamping down when it's red, and it's open when it's green. The cab section is the exact same across all the different channels. So right now I'm on overdrive 1 and I'm using the 57 to capture all the high end stuff and the ribbon 121 to really fill out the tone and capture all the low end stuff. This is very typical of what I do with any different type of cab section in any plugin. As with the other Fortin type of plugins, I'm pretty sure you get an array of mics to choose from. You get the dynamic 57, a 421, a 414, an 854, a ribbon 121, which I'm using, and then a 160. And of course the option to load up your own custom IRs from an external source. Now, moving on to the actual amp. So as you can see with overdrive 1, it's the exact same as overdrive 2. You get the exact same knobs and the exact same switches, although overdrive 2 is much more crunchier, which I'll showcase later. But for now, let's just take a look at overdrive 1. So of course you have a master, presence, bass, mids, treble, gain 2, and gain 1. Now gain 1 is kind of like your low end gain, if that makes sense. So if I push this all the way up, it saturates the tone really, really heavily. Gets really, really flubby. So for kind of like modern metal riffing and getting articulate and stuff like that, I like to have it just below 6. Kind of gives you that low end thump before every hit, which is very nice, but doesn't overpower it too much. Gain 2 is more of like a traditional gain knob, as you expect any gain knob to react, and I like having it at around 6. You can see here there's a bright switch which affects the high end response of the amp. So if I have it on the 3rd position, middle position, and then 1st position. So having the violent switch on the 2nd position, cleans up your playing considerably, but doesn't give you that low end thump and just general growl that you'd expect from a Fortin amp. Having the violent switch in the 1st position really beefs up your tone and makes it sound really nice. The mids I've dipped just a little bit. I've noticed that between this and the Fortin Nameless, which was my go-to before, this one is more low mid emphasize, if that makes sense. It's kind of like more honkier sounding, but in a good way. And it really fills out your tone in the sense that you don't need to adjust the EQ when you're mixing a song as you would with the Nameless, because this really just fills out everything nice the way it is. I have dipped it back just a little bit though. Bass is at around 6, and it comes with a push-pull pop. I like having it pushed in. The hair switch. Now the hair switch is cool because depending on where you have it, it can really influence your tone. So the third position really beefs up your tone, but having it in the middle position gives it nice and like a traditional type of sound, if that makes sense. And then that first position is that typical Fortin sound, kind of like the Nameless, where it's really articulate. I'm kind of a little bit scooped, but it gets the articulation out of your playing. Presence knob sitting at 4, and the thump switch also has 3 positions. So the first position, very typical, very Fortin sounding, if that makes sense. Second position, kind of reminds me of like an Angle type of amp sound. And then the third position, I like having it on the first position. And then last but not least, the master knob. Now I like having the master knob set at around 3 because it kind of gets rid of that power amp saturation, cleans up your playing, and really brings out the articulation of whatever you're doing. So now, just to showcase the OD2 channel, what I'm going to do is I've put the exact same settings across both channels, or as close as I could get it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a riff and kind of switch between them, just so you guys can hear the tonal differences between Overdrive 1 and Overdrive 2. So starting with Overdrive 1. Overdrive 2. Get some chords in. Then the chords on Overdrive 2. As you can tell, the Overdrive 2 channel is much more of a plexi type of sound, crunchier type of sound, low gain type of sound, whereas Overdrive 1 is very typical of Fortin to be very high gain, very aggressive, and very, very modern sounding, if that makes sense. And then the last channel, but absolutely not the least, is the clean. Now, you might see a clean channel on a Fortin plugin and overlook it and think it won't sound that good, but trust me, this is a great clean sound, and I'm super happy that the guys at Neural put it in, because that's one thing you do not get with the Fortin Nameless or the Fortin NTS from Neural DSP, is a dedicated clean channel. With the other ones, you'd have to dial the gains back and this and that, and it's a little bit more of a headache. With this, there's a clean channel dedicated in the plugin, ready to go at all times whenever you want. And it sounds absolutely amazing. I haven't even touched anything, that's just how it loads up. All knobs set to 5. The switches I haven't touched at all, and it just sounds that good out the box. Now, for those of you who have keen eyes, you might see in the top corner that I have Studio Cabzilla loaded but not turned on. And the reason being is that in the demo song, I actually used Studio Cabzilla in the tone. So I disabled the amp section, which I've just got another preset here. I'm not going to say the name because I might get this video demonetized, but you can see it there. And the cap section is disabled here, and I'll flick it on here. Right now, I'm using the Genty preset in the Studio Cabzilla, and this is what it sounds like. I just wanted to see how the Fortin Cali suite would take plugins after the fact, and it took it like an absolute champ, similarly to all the other newer plugins. And one thing that helps is that this plugin is also amazing, the Studio Cabzilla, using the Genty preset. As you can tell, it is very, very genty. And that's pretty much it in a nutshell. So that's the Fortin Cali suite. Very simple, very straight to the point, and very, very stellar sounding. Honestly, this might be one of my favorite Fortin plugins that they've done, whether it's the Fortin Nameless or the Fortin NTS, and now the Fortin Cali. I actually think the Fortin Cali has taken the throne for my favorite plugin from Neural DSP because it sounds absolutely amazing. As always, if you guys liked the video at any time, please feel free to leave a like and a comment on anything you saw or heard. If you have any questions, please leave them below in the comments and I'll try to get to them as soon as I can. And if you want to see more stuff like this, definitely subscribe because I love doing plugin demos like this, especially when they sound this good. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao.